First and foremost, let's explore what nuclear weapons entail. Nuclear weapons are a category of mass-destructive arms, deriving their energy from nuclear fission or fusion reactions. They possess a devastating potential equivalent to 300,000 tons of conventional explosives, enabling them to obliterate an entire city. The first use of nuclear weapons occurred at the tail end of World War II, when the United States Air Force dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, resulting in casualties of over 200,000 people. Perimeter can be understood as a form of nuclear weaponry as well. It is linked to the alternative communication network of Russia's strategic nuclear forces, a highly classified and resilient system that is nearly impossible to disable. Perimeter is a fully automated complex designed to oversee massive nuclear attacks, encompassing missile systems on naval vessels, submarines, and underground silos created by the Soviet Union during the Cold War, as a last-resort defense against potential aggressors. This system was devised in response to the heightened concern during the Cold War era about a nuclear attack originating from the United States. Soviet leadership recognized the need for a novel command system to ensure the execution of retaliatory strikes in the event that the communication lines of the Missile Forces Command were severed. During that time, the control and command of their missile forces were still reliant on a nuclear briefcase. However, this method had limitations because it still required orders from the Supreme Commander. Consequently, on August 30, 1974, Order Number 695-227 was issued by the Soviet leadership, assigning the Dnipropetrovsk Design Bureau with the task of creating a nuclear response system called Perimeter. The development and construction of this system were shrouded in absolute secrecy, making it an enigmatic project even to some Soviet officials and Western intelligence personnel at the time. Given the secrecy surrounding its inception and formation, the functionality and operational details of Perimeter seemed challenging to obtain from any available records. Initially, Soviet scientists adopted backup data methods to ensure the certain transmission of orders. Subsequently, they conceived the idea of employing ballistic missiles equipped with powerful radio transmitters, serving as communication channels for the missile launch sites. The UR-100 UTTKH intercontinental ballistic missile, known by NATO as Spanker, serves as the central component of this system. Rather than heading directly to the adversary's target, Perimeter utilizes this ballistic missile to traverse the Soviet skies, transmitting launch orders to all the missile systems situated in underground silos, aircraft, naval vessels, and ground-based launch platforms. These missiles are stationed in newly constructed underground bunkers, capable of withstanding a direct nuclear strike, pre-configured with flight coordinates and wireless signals that they pick up during their flight. According to KTQS research, in addition to the UR-100 UTTKH, missiles such as the RS-20, SS-18 Satan, and the R-36 missile series, along with their variants, are the priority choices, primarily positioned in underground bunkers, submarines, and the nation's nuclear defense systems. In the event that the Soviet High Command receives early warning information about a missile launch against the Soviet Union, Perimeter is activated during the alert phase. Subsequently, if no cancel order is received within a specific time frame, the ballistic missiles are launched. This ensures the removal of the human element and guarantees that nuclear retaliatory strikes occur, even if the command and control centers and missile launch crews are obliterated. You might be wondering whether a modern automated system like this could go rogue. Not to worry, to ensure that there is no uncontrolled launch, Perimeter conducts continuous checks before launch. It verifies the information received from 4 channels: electromagnetic pulse data from radio conversations, data on radiation levels, and other radiation sources at control points, data from the early warning missile launch detection system, and analysis of seismic data. The electronic brain of the system compiles data from these 4 channels and assesses the situation regarding a large-scale nuclear attack. Constructed upon advanced artificial intelligence and computer science, it leaves the question of whether the dead-hand system can be compromised by cyber attacks at its lowest level. This means that the ground control centers have also been destroyed, and Perimeter's electronic brain decided to launch a retaliatory nuclear attack because it recognized that it's time to launch a devastating attack. The Perimeter system will automatically launch controlled ballistic missiles, which will send signals directly to missile silos, submarines, and other surviving nuclear facilities to retaliate. At this stage there is no need for human involvement. The development of these systems began in the mid-1970 AS, and by the end of this decade, prototypes were tested for military purposes. The first tests showed that the missile was capable of flying 4,500 kilometers at an altitude of 4,000 meters and could successfully send signals to other objects during its flight. Within 5 years, the military command conducted combat tests to see if the new weapon could actually open a silo and deliver the country's most powerful nuclear missile to a designated point or not. In November 1984, the UR-100 UTTK control missile carrying a signal-generating warhead was launched from Polotsk and transmitted launch orders to a silo containing the RS-20 SS-18 Satan ballistic missile at the Baikonur Cosmodrome of the Soviet Union. This RS-20 was launched and hit the target at the Kura test site on the Kamchatka Peninsula. This new type of weapon demonstrated its ability to move across the entire territory of the Soviet Union while sending combat orders to other intercontinental ballistic missiles. However, it wasn't until January 1985 that Perimeter was officially included in the Soviet Union's Strategic Nuclear Deterrent Force. 5 years later, the system was upgraded and modernized, bearing the code name Perimeter, RC. But perhaps talking about the mysteries of its formation, function and operation is not enough. The locations of the command centers of this system are also enigmatic. It wasn't until 1992 that the US government and the West learned of the existence of a secret underground base in the Kosvinsky Mountains deep within the Ural Range, 1,368 kilometers east of Moscow. US intelligence and the military believed that this was the location for developing and producing nuclear weapons and conducting various military programs to evade the prying eyes of Washington's reconnaissance satellites. The Pentagon also believed that the underground base was operating as a command and control center for Russia's nuclear weapons. Missiles stored here have the ability to operate automatically or be remotely controlled, ready to retaliate in the event of a nuclear war. In 1997, the CIA issued a report stating, in 1996, Russian President B. Yeltsin issued 3 emergency response orders with oversight over the construction of underground facilities to maintain a leadership role in a nuclear war. According to this report, satellite images of the Yamantau mountain near the town of Beloretsk, also within the Ural Range, showed the construction of a very deep underground complex and construction work in 2 support areas on the surface. The CIA identified an underground fortress that Russian leaders used in Voronovo, a location 46 miles south of Moscow. A second underground fortress in Sharapovo, about 52 miles from Moscow, was equipped with a special electric train that runs directly there. All secret fortresses and special cities in Russia are under the control of the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation, FSB, and the Special Department of the President of Russia, so there is not much information about these locations. Occasionally, information about these underground fortress systems is transferred to the media, primarily from the declassified files of the Soviet intelligence agency, KGB. According to Russian sources, the Dead Hand now includes hypersonic missiles capable of moving at speeds of 5 to 7 kilometers per second. These new missiles will be put into use in the military alongside the new Sarmat ICBMs. Although constantly improved and developed, it served as a proud shield of the Soviet people. However, under the pressure of the START I treaty in the summer of 1995, Russia had to stop combat readiness work with the Perimeter system. It is unfortunate that the United States and its allies did not properly evaluate Russia's goodwill. The US and NATO continued to expand eastward, absorbing additional Eastern European and former Soviet countries around Russia, constructing more military bases, and increasing the deployment of heavy weapons in these countries to tighten the encirclement of Russia. Certainly, Moscow will not lie down quietly for Washington to slash and kill at will. In December 2011, General Sergei Karakayev, the commander of Russia's strategic missile forces, announced that the Perimeter system had been returned to combat readiness. However, while it carries a rather horrifying concept, the Perimeter system itself, not missile defense or space defense systems, has contributed to reducing the risk of nuclear war. It is an acceptable and relatively moral solution to prevent nuclear war. The existence of this system makes Western leaders genuinely consider and hesitate before initiating a nuclear attack on the Soviet Union, as they understand that a nuclear attack on the Soviet Union will lead to both sides suffering heavy losses. the journey of deciphering the mysteries of the perimeter system is complete. It can be said that to this day, the perimeter system still plays a crucial role in protecting Russia's strategic belt, ensuring the retaliatory nuclear capabilities of the country, especially in the recent heightened tensions with Ukraine and Western countries. It also embodies the essence of the scientific and technological military capabilities of the Soviet Russian people. So with such terrifying mysteries and power, does the dead hand perimeter system truly serve as a perfect deterrent against a nuclear attack and have the deterrent power to maintain stability for Russia against the United States and Western countries? Feel free to leave your comments below.